Hello friends. Vanakkam and Namaskar. Welcome to this monthly communique from Sundaram Mutual Fund on the fixed income markets. In the month gone by, a lot of data has been there, and it is it is uneven data which we have seen. The highlight of the last month has been the monetary policy from RBI. I think this is probably being touted as the start of normalization process from the RBI, the Monetary Policy Committee. Probably what we will see going forward is that RBI is going to use all tools available with it to not to hurry up the normalization process and keep the market in sanctity and have an orderly yield evaluation. That is what the objective of RBI is, particularly what we have seen in this policy is the first descent on the policy accommodation. Policy accommodation basically means the ample liquidity there in the market. We market was largely expecting uh, uh, variable reverse repo rate absorption or incremental increase in that quantum, which was already there at about 2 lakh odd crores, and that amount has been increased in a phased manner to 4 lakh odd crores. Market was anticipating a little lesser amount, and the amount increment itself has been a little more than what the market was anticipating. Also, RBI has given a higher inflation forecast from about 5.1 to 5.7. So that's also something which is higher than what the market was expecting, which clearly shows that the intent of RBI or at the Monetary Policy Committee, the thought process is has changed in terms of looking at inflation probably, and they are right now looking at ways to not hurt growth, which is incipient in nature, and it is likely that the growth has to find some ground before something dramatic on inflation can be done. So inflation has been ruling higher, and as of now, the thought process from MPC, what has been communicated in the policy document and in the press conference, is that they consider the inflation to be transitory in nature, and it's a supply side phenomena rather than being demand side phenomena. Also, what we have seen is the governor has mentioned that the output gap still remains sufficiently in slack, and that is something which is likely to going forward has to be filled in first before any major action from the policy front can be taken. So until unless there is a severe rise in rate of inflation going forward. So until there is an episode which is global in nature, uh, I don't think that we don't think that RBI is likely to take any dramatic action on the rates front. What is likely to happen is that as the economy improves, as the output gap narrows, RBI is likely to reduce the reverse repo corridor, which we had seen it being widened, and probably it will come back to that 25 basis point which we had seen. So a 40 basis point rise in the reverse repo is most likely the way forward over a period of time, and that will have an implication on the money market curve more than that on any other segment of the curve. So an impact on the near term maturities will be much more than the longer end maturities, and that is something which is likely to play out over a period of time, because right now the operative rate is the reverse repo because the huge amount of liquidity. We are despite this additional sucking out of 2 lakh odd crores, what we could see is about 5 to 6 lakhs of liquidity still there in the system. So that is something which is very substantial, and some amount of festival cash drain would definitely be there. But despite that, this is huge amount of liquidity which is there being parked on the reverse repo window, and RBI is trying to not give the wrong signal in the market. And we have clearly seen the governor try to explain to the market that this is not actually a removal of accommodation, and still the policy is in accommodation mode. But with the dissent at RBI and in the MPC, sorry, with Professor Jayant Verma not okay with the accommodation stance of the policy, although he was okay with the status quo and rates, but he was not okay. So in the minutes of the meeting, we'll come to know the exact reasoning behind that. But in all likelihood, the reason would be probably because that is likely to be the reason for uh, inflation being on the higher clip. One of the reasons for inflation being on the higher clip. So I think this is something which we are seeing right now in India. India had already seen a very ravaging second wave in COVID-19, and this Delta variant is now there in more than 130 countries and is been spreading at a good pace. And the difference obviously is between the vaccinated and the unvaccinated countries. So countries which have low vaccination rates, we have seen the fatalities are very high. Infections have risen in other countries where vaccination is high, but the hospitalization has been low and fatalities has been also low. So I think the matter is in terms of where vaccination have picked up, where the vaccinations haven't picked up. So this is one of the major differentiating factor. And as in the earlier communique also, what we had seen that the very nature of this virus is very unpredictable. And because of the unpredictable nature of the virus, we can clearly see a different reaction in different economies. So what we see today in India, uh, we see a very different things happening in another economy in another part of the world. So I think this is likely to continue, and because of various lockdown now in China, the virus has taken place, and many districts have been impacted by the Delta variant. And this is likely to impact the supply side because China is one of the biggest supplier. And again, we could see inflation rising in various parts of the various parts of the world in various economies, because whichever economy is dependent on China in terms of supply, that could get impacted. But the good part is that this virus has been there in existence for more than 1.5 years, and because of that, what we can see is that people have adapted to coexist with this virus, and the economic impact has been minimized in due course of time. And the answer right now, what it looks like, is getting population vaccinated at the fastest pace as possible, and vaccine availability again becomes an issue. So going forward, I think the economies and the global economy, global trade, etc., will largely focus on the rate of vaccination over a period of time. And India is in the right direction, as we are on that path. Fortunately, being the vaccine producers, we have some availability compared to the kind of economy we are in. We are in a developing, emerging economy, and the availability of vaccine has been much better than other comparable countries. So from that perspective, it looks like we are headed in the right direction. What we have also seen, the high frequency indicators in India are looking up. We clearly see more opening of the economy happening. Context sensitive sectors also, we are seeing that some amount of opening is likely to happen, and the air traffic has picked up. We have seen the mobility improving, and as further improvement happened, we have seen the GST collection again clocking over 1 lakh odd crores this last month, which was the month of August, which was for July month. 1,16,000 crores GST collection has been there. I think going forward, this augurs well, because the tax buoyancy has been pretty good, which again has helped the government in some kind of visibility, although they are not very sure right now, but some kind of visibility in terms of revenues, which they had budgeted very conservatively, keeping in mind COVID as the background. and to transfer 75,000 crores of GST to the states, they have decided not to borrow from the market. So I think that kind of visibility is very encouraging. And going forward, if the tax buoyancy keeps in place, and they are able to tap the markets in terms of the major disinvestment which they have budgeted, this will augur well for the fiscal deficit, and it could be in the same range which they have projected, or even lower going forward. The borrowing has been onerous. I think it has been quite high, and because of the large supply, the yields anyway were checked by RBI intervention in the market, and as slowly as RBI is deciding to let the yields float a little bit, we are seeing the yield on the 10-year benchmark already has risen by 15 to 20 basis point. Right now, the yield on the new 10-year benchmark 610 coupon is about 6.25. And even although we have seen the OIS curve being quite flat, because the market participants have already discounted that there. And I think going forward, what we have to see is that how much more the RBI is likely to let the yields float on the government borrowings, and as they do let that happen, which will also be a function of the global yields. So we have already seen that uh, US, the talk of tapering has been there, and the dollar index has strengthened from the lows it had seen some time back, which is likely to shape up the yield curve in India as well at some point in time. The good part is that we have very high forex reserves, which will preclude probably any knee-jerk reaction through the currency market. So that is something which is encouraging, and I think the orderly evolution of the yield curve is something which will be targeted. The other thing is that if you look around, all the central banks are hesitant to pull back the liquidity, not only India, I think all across the globe, because right now the recovery has been very uneven, as I just told you, and that uneven recovery is putting a stop to any concrete plans of unwinding the excess liquidity which is being pumped into the markets across the globe. And that liquidity alone is driving up the asset prices most likely in many parts of the world. And particularly the large economies like US, Europe, uh, and Japan, all these, China, all these places, the excess liquidity is likely to find its place to the emerging market, and India also has got a fair share of its uh, uh, part in this global liquidity cycle. And I think that is something which will once when it start moving out, whenever that happens, I think it's some time away, because with the at least the dual objective of the central bankers, where they have price stability and some other objective, or maybe multiple objectives to fulfill, uh, which has become the order of the day nowadays, with the governments putting their burden onto the central bankers. I think it is a difficult call for the central bankers to uh, pull out that liquidity, because they know that this liquidity is driving the markets and keeping the price or the growth in place. So probably I think as soon as the real economy picks up, which is I think some time away, it's not exactly at the anvil, and we think that it will take some time before the liquidity can be withdrawn. I think that cycle will be followed by India as well. So sometime in maybe 2022 is when we will see the rate hikes happening, but most likely we will just see liquidity normalization being the first step in normalization of the policy. Having said that, I think from a product perspective, at this point in time, lot of talk is about the floating rate funds. I think floating rate funds are nothing but they are a way of creating a short-term view in the interest rates. I think if that is the case, I think you can always create your own product by taking a view on shorter duration products. Like you can always put your money in ultra short-term funds, or you can put your money in low duration fund. So all these products are kind of you creating a floating rate stream at your end. And I think that is something which can be a solution in this kind of an uncertain environment. And if you have monies for longer periods of time, you can remain invested in lower duration, actively managed products, because the curve steepness is still there. We do not know exactly when the normalization of liquidity would happen, where there will be, because there is definitely some uncertainty around the corner. And as I told you, that the central bankers are hesitant in terms of withdrawing liquidity until unless they see durable growth coming back into the economy. With that backdrop, I think it's important to see that if you're putting your monies and with rates probably moving higher and the curve being very steep, it makes sense to either match up your durations to your investment horizon if you're very conservative, or you should be looking at products which are in lower duration buckets, and put your monies across the curve depending on how you are comfortable with. I think diversifying across the curve also makes sense because the steepness of the curve gets captured in that. So I think that's what I have in this monthly update. Thanks a lot.
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.